This is Shockwave News Live. You can find me online at shockwavenews.com. And I'm also on twitter.com/Shockwave News 1. And of course, Spreaker.com/Shockwave News. And Anchor, that's anchor.fm, anchor.fm/Shockwave News. Okay, let's get right into the news. Today's headline and today's news here, something I want to cover here. It's by bigleaguepolitics.com. That's bigleaguepolitics.com. They have their main article dated today, June 3rd, 2020. The headline on the article for bigleaguepolitics.com is President Trump rules out deploying troops to restore order even as riots show no sign of slowing down. So this is very interesting, their main headline on their article today in bigleaguepolitics.com. And the article goes on. I'll just read the article and kind of summarize as I go here and summarize and do a little bit of analysis as I always do. The article goes on, just one day after President Trump said he was willing to send in the military forces into states across the country to put down riots, he is reporting backing off of the idea. According to his administration officials, Trump is happy with the result of yesterday's enforcement measures during the riots, which included law enforcement officials being shot, police getting hit by SUVs. He will not be using the Insurrection Act to put troops in the street to restore order anytime soon. Okay, so what the Insurrection Act is, I was reading up. In an emergency, the president can declare a state of emergency throughout the whole entire United States. He can, from a military or a military standpoint, in order to keep the citizens of the United States safe, he can go under this Insurrection Act and put troops in the street. So it's just like a martial law type of situation, folks, where President Trump can enact the Insurrection Act, and under that act, he can take executive order, and he can just sign the executive order and put troops in the streets just like that in all the major cities and towns and different things like that throughout the United States. Anywhere where there's rioters out of control, which seem to be quite a few of the big cities around. I don't know how many big cities are undergoing the riots. I know down here in Florida, there are a few of them. I know the Miami area was a little bit. Nothing major has come out of Orlando. I'm closer to the Orlando or Central Florida area. Tampa, I don't know. Different places. I want to say there was, I think on the West Coast there might have been a couple spots, but other than that, Florida's been so far so good. Thank the good Lord for that. We've been okay for the most part, faring a lot better than the rest of the United States. Okay, let me go back to this article here. The law is absolutely still on the table if things get really bad, but as of now, the president, he doesn't think he's going to have to go that far. An administration official said to Axios News. So, as the president has said, we cannot allow the voices of peaceful protesters to be drowned out by angry mobs, which is why the president will continue to take lawful, decisive action to stop the violence and restore the security of all Americans. The White House spokesman, this is Judd Deere, had said. Trump made the pivot after rhinos whined about this harsh rhetoric as the country burns due to the extreme left-wing riots. Well, let me just say, pause there before I finish up this article, folks. If you protest, you have under the First Amendment, you have the right to free speech. Absolutely, positively, 1,000%, I support free speech. Being independent, people would even say, well, maybe you're more libertarian. Well, if that's the case, that's the case. But I support free speech. I support the Second Amendment. I support the right to keep and bear arms, of course, a very, very big proponent of that. I support the government getting the heck out of our face and out of our ass and being able to live your life. That's what I support. I don't support one party or the other party. Like a lot of people are under the pretext they think I support one party or the other party, or I'm more to the right than the left. No, I support the Constitution of the United States, and that's what I support. So people would say, well, you are, I guess, a libertarian. And I say, well, if that's the case, that's the case. So in this act, back on target here, in this act, these people that are burning down buildings, burning down cities, burning down buildings, burning down homes, especially lots and lots and lots of businesses. A good percentage of them are in African American communities, and a lot of these rioters, Antifa, BLM, Black Lives Matter, the group this has infiltrated, I believe it's more Antifa. These people are paid rioters, okay? I'm just going to say that. They're paid by George Soros, okay? And there's billionaire backers behind that. If they go to jail, folks, they might go to jail for arson, destruction, malicious behavior. They could go to jail for violence, inciting violence. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. They will be out of jail as soon as possible because Antifa, again, and some members of the BLM, Black Lives Matter, I'm not saying all, I'm not stereotyping, but the groups that are rioting right now, that they are being backed by George Soros, and George Soros, his funding group, his financial group. They are doing that to cause massive riots and chaos because they do not want to see this president succeed. They want a change of regime. This is why this is happening. This is bought, paid for, and organized. Last night, I even watched videos, video after video after video of them showing where bricks were mysteriously located right downtown in these metropolitan areas, whether you be Miami or you be St. Louis or you be Cleveland, Ohio. There are bricks located out there. So if they want to throw bricks at these buildings and business establishment and break windows and do all kinds of destruction, they're there at their mercy. They're there to be used. So this is a setup deal. A lot of people, I held out doing a podcast until I had more facts and more information. And now I see the light of day, what's coming about due to the riots. You know, this isn't about George Floyd. No, this is not about him. This is about rioting. This is about destruction. This is about terrorism. This is about trying to get a president removed by causing violence. Okay, that's what this is about. Again, these terrorists are bought and paid for. They're turning up. There's weapons. Again, you can use a brick as a weapon in multiple locations. If anybody, I can go through and I can post the links if anybody has any questions regarding that. This is just an all set up. This is like a PSYOP. A PSYOP is psychological warfare. They're doing this in order so that they can create chaos, turn the United States into socialism, and remove a duly elected president. Okay? What happened to George Floyd, I don't condone racism. I never did. I never will. the man, regardless of what the coroner is coming out with. They're saying, oh, well, he had this, he had that, he probably had heart problems to begin with anyway. Well, I happen to know because I had a little bit of a medical background, okay, working in a hospital, not a doctor, not a nurse, but I've been around the healthcare industry on and off for quite a few years. And just on that note, when somebody does something to you and you already have a problem, say you have high blood pressure, hypertension, so on and so forth, or you're on different types of medication, or you have anxiety, panic attacks, so on and so forth. It's a common fact. If somebody puts their boot or their foot on your damn throat, of course that's going to cause the body to go into the panic attack. And of course there is a 99.9% probability that if you're not healthy as it is and you have things wrong with you health-wise, you could have a stroke, you could have a heart attack. There's a lot of things. So in other words, an anxiety or a health deficiency will create the ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal was they wanted to make an example out of this guy here, the poor guy George Floyd, and the officer put his shoe right on top of the back of his neck, and that's something that I've seen most law enforcement absolutely condemn that type of action, what they did to poor George Floyd, and he killed him. That's the bottom line. Murder will not stand. That rotten, dirty, lousy effing cop, he needs to go to prison, throw away the damn key. You don't treat people like that. If you're black, if you're white, if you're pink, you're purple, you're green, I don't give a rat's ass. You don't treat people that way, period. And yes, I know there's racism in the United States. I'm well over 50. I've grown up with this. Growing up, I was in a small town in Michigan. Before I moved to Central Florida about 18 years ago, I grew up in a small town in Michigan. At that time when I was growing up, we didn't have Hispanics and we didn't have bunches of Asians. The population was 50% black, 50% white. We all got along. We had no problems. I'm sure there was a lot of racism there, but it was underlying. We didn't attract attention to it, nor did we provoke it. We all loved one another as human beings, and we all got along. And is racism absolutely horrible? Yes, it is. What they did to George Floyd, I would never forgive the cop that did that. I'm sorry. He's a piece of crap. He needs to go rot in hell for a while. That's my thing. This rioting going on, this is illegal, and this is not helping George Floyd's cause by rioting. It's not. It's doing more harm than good. You can protest. There's nothing wrong with a peaceful protest. They did it in Michigan at Lansing in the Capitol. I seen lots and lots and lots of folks there, and they were heavily armed up there. The police surrounded the Capitol, but they kept their distance. There was no problem. There was no shootings, no crazy bullshit. You can do this without killing a soul. But these people, again, are bought and paid for. They're being selected, and George Soros is funding these organizations in order to create total chaos and anarchy in the United States. So will President Trump have to declare universal here in the United States, all over all 50 states? Will he have to declare universal martial law? I believe that's coming. Yes, I really think that's coming very quickly. I'm just going to say this in closing. Once you go to martial law, having lived through that when they shot and killed Martin Luther King Jr. Now, this is going back quite a few years ago. Having gone through that at a very young age when I was just a boy and seeing Army personnel, Army Reserve, that is, personnel, running all over the streets in Jeeps. And, of course, back then they had older machine guns, combat gear, tanks are rolling. Haven't seen that in a situation where riots were starting up all over the United States when they killed Martin Luther King Jr. Oh my God, it is the most horrible thing I remember just as a young kid, vaguely. I'm telling you, you haven't seen nothing yet. This generation is not ready for this. They're not going to be able to take it. I've gone through it once before, but again, as a real young kid, maybe about 8, 9, or 10 years old back then, so I didn't really know what's going on until my dad explained everything. You don't want this. Once you lose freedom, folks, it's hard as hell to get back, and most of the time, 99% of the time, you'll never get it back the way it was. Freedom might come back to you. The elites and the Satanists that run this country might give you back or throw the dog a bone, if you will, the dog being the United States, throw us sheeple a bone, and I don't consider myself a sheep, but throw all the rest of the sheeple a bone and just say, okay, you can have freedoms back, but they're going to come with certain restrictions now, like they're trying to do with this COVID-19 BS. It's just all a plan. It's all rigged. It's all a bunch of BS. It's all a setup. And the quicker you folks wake up and realize just what the hell is going on here and stop listening to CNN, stop listening to MSNBC, stop even listening to Fox. I used to be years ago a big Fox lover, but not anymore. I don't listen to that crap. They're just a talking point. Stop listening to Jimmy Kimmel. Stop listening to all these nuts on late night television. All they can do is joke about serious problems. I pray for each and one of you people listening to the podcast. I pray for your families, your friends. And we have to stay safe and we have to stay vigilant as Americans right now, given the situation of anarchy and most of the major U.S. cities that's going on right now, anarchy and riots and different things. And I repeat, you do not want martial law. You do not want that. You might say, yeah, but we're going to be safe and you have to understand that, man, and blah, 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 blah. No, you do not want martial law. Once you lose it, you'll never get it back. You'll never get that freedom back. All right, this is Shockwave News reporting live. You can find me online at shockwavenews.com, twitter.com/Shockwave News, and of course Anchor. That's anchor.fm, and /Shockwave News, and of course Spreaker.com /Shockwave News. This is Shockwave News coming to you live. Take care, God bless, and I am out of here.